Welcome to Shomach Shov on the Daf. She responds to Nishvas Am Yaakov Sholom Le'Abbas Yitzchok. We're holding in Sanhedrin Daf Samech. The Gemara in Beis speaks about Doros Harishonim. The early generations, and the Gemara speaks about, brings examples from Batsheva, from Haran, and then from Betzalel. Doros Harishonim, they gave birth in a young age. The Gemara tells us they gave birth in the age of 8 years old. The Maharal wrote a sefer called Be'er HaGoylo. The main purpose of the sefer Be'er HaGoylo is to defend Chazal and to show that everything Chazal write is a divrei chochma, divrei kabbalah, and it's not something that you can argue with. In the Be'er HaShishi, he brings a sefer called Ma'or that said all kinds of things about Chazal. And the Maharal attacks him and says that he didn't understand what Chazal is saying, he didn't understand the Chochmah of Chazal, and all the questions, the problems that he has with Chazal are answered. And he goes there to explain many things that the Ma'or questioned, and the Maharal goes to explain. And one of the things that the Ma'or pointed out is our Gemara, because our Gemara says that Doros Harishonim, they gave birth in a younger age. So he questions this. He says, if you look at the Torah, you'll see the longer they lived, the older they gave birth. The Doros, the first generations from Adam Rishon until Noach, they started giving birth at a much older age because they lived much longer. So if so, how does the Gemara say over here, the talk already speaking about Avram and Haran, they gave birth at a much younger age if they lived a longer life. If they lived a longer life, they should start giving birth in an older age. That is the taina that the Ma'or has against the Chazal, against our Gemara. The Maharal goes on to say a big yesod. And to explain a little bit, the Maharal will be magdim, one nekudo that's brought down in the Arizal, a famous Arizal, that says that Dora Mabul and Dora Palogo were supposed to receive the Torah. Meaning, Adam Rishon, before the Chet, he was supposed to go to Olam Haba immediately. Once he did Chet Eitzadas, so he brought down the world to a lower level, but the world was still in such a high madrego. The madrega of Adam Rishon in the first Asara Doros from Adam until Noach, they were very high level. They lived a long life, and they were closer to the level of Ruchnius that a generation could be. And until it came to Dora Mabul, Dora Palaga, where the Torah was supposed to give them that in their life, and that will be the tikkun, the fixing of the world. But because the world went in a different direction, and instead of using their powers to be Oived Hashem, they went and they did something opposite. That's why came the Mabul and destroyed the world. And we had to restart the world again. And it's brought down in the Sfarim that from Dora Mabul on, after we missed the opportunity of receiving Torah in that generation, so the only way to do it is to get to Am Yisrael, and Am Yisrael will be receiving Torah. So the world comes into disarray once it reaches the Dora Mabul. Adds the Maharal. Once we came into Dora Mabul, reached Dora Mabul, and the world came to that kilkul of Dora Mabul, the world got destroyed. And now the world doesn't have the order, the seder that the world usually has. There is a balagan, there's a mess, there is a chaos in the world. Until when? So the Maharal, until Dovid Hamelech. He's referring to the Gemara in Yevamas that says that in the time of Dovid Hamelech, the years went down to 70. So the lifespan that we have, the 70 years is around the average lifespan of a person in this world, comes from Dovid Hamelech. So until then, the world is in a little bit of a mess. Some people are living longer lives, some people are living shorter lives. The order of things are not the right order, until we reach Dovid Hamelech and the world settles. To explain a little bit why, Dafka, at the time of Dovid Hamelech, things settle. So this, I heard from my Rebbe Moshe Shapir Zatzal many times. We know the world is a 6,000-year world. As we're going to see, Be'ez Hashem later in the Masechto, Shit Alfei Shni Kaim Olam. The world is there for 6,000 years. Dovid Hamelech is around the year 3,000. Meaning Dovid Hamelech is around in the middle of the world. He's right when the world gets to the furthest away from the creation and starts circling back to get back to its original state. As we know, Dovid Hamelech is the one who's fixing what Adam Rishon did wrong. Adam Rishon starts the world. The middle of the world is David, and the end of the world is Mashiach. That's the Rosh Tevis Adam. David Mashiach is Adam. The full Adam is these three. Adam that starts the world, David that gets to the middle stage, it starts returning back to its source until you get to Mashiach. So by Dovid Hamelech, the world starts to settle and to go back to where it's supposed to be. Mimele zok the Maharal as follows. Between the time of the Mabul and the time of Dovid Hamelech, there's no order. People giving birth in a younger age, but living a longer life. Even though that's not the Seder Advarim, it's supposed to be that the longer person lives, so then the older he gives birth. That's when the world is in the right order, when it's no chaos. That's until Dor Mabul. And that's from Dovid Hamelech on. People live 70 years, they start giving birth at the age of 13. But in between, that's the Doros Rishayin that our Gemara refers to, is a time of chaos where things are not in order. And it's very meduya because the three rayas the Gemara brings of Doros Rishayin starts from Avraham Avinu, who came right after Dor Palaga, and continues with Betzalel in the time of the Mishkan, and ends in Batsheva, which is in the time of Dovid Hamelech. That's the tkufa of starting from Dor Palaga, immediately after Dor Mabul, when the world comes to disarray, and ends in the time of Dovid Hamelech when the world settles. And that's why we have this strange years in this history and nature of the world. The Doros Rishayin that Gemara refers to is that tkufa, that according to the Maharal, is the tkufa when the world is in chaos. Anyone who wants to join the Shomar Shaveh email list to watch, go please email shomarshave@gmail.com.